Hi, my name is Abby Adams, and this is my instructional coach interview with Miss Jenn Garner for our EDAT 7132 course. So this is our framework of teaching. So Miss Garner, would you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so this is my 31st year in education. I have been, was middle school teacher for 9 years. I've been at the high school level for the rest of that time. For about the last 7 or 8 years, I have been teaching part-time and doing instructional coaching and professional learning the rest of the time. I've taught everything from 6th grade reading and social studies to 12th grade AP European History. Spent most of my time as an AP Human Geography teacher, where I serve at the national level as a consultant and a reader.
Awesome. And then, so you just mentioned about being an instructional coach. So you said about 7,
8 years
8 years.
Officially.
Okay.
I was also department chair
Okay.
before that, which I also feel is an instructional coaching
absolutely.
role between well, you're coaching your teachers in your department. As an instructional coach, I've moved out. Really, I started with new teachers, being in charge of new teacher orientation.
Awesome.
For our brand new baby teachers that come to our faculty. Like
Yes.
Abby was part of that.
Absolutely.
And then also with teachers that are coming in new to our school from other districts or from other schools. So it's a multi-tiered program. And that's where I started. Then I got into professional learning. And then as an outgrowth of working with new teachers, I moved into the actual instructional coaching as well.
Perfect.
So
And
it's been a process.
oh, absolutely. And yeah, that's education for you. What really led you to becoming an instructional coach?
I don't know that I sat down and said, hey, I'm going to be an instructional coach. Like I said, I just evolved as I began working with teachers as a department leader, then with new teachers, and then having a role in PL. And then when I started leading professional learning at the state and national level for advanced placement and college board, I started to say, oh, hey, I got some skills in this. And that really kind of came through from the feedback I got from the participants in my sessions. And they were like, more people need to know this. More people need to know this. And so that it just kind of evolved over time. I did do the teacher leader endorsement through RISA in Georgia. I did do that once I decided that I really wanted to pursue instructional coaching as part of my career.
Perfect. And then how does your philosophy of being an instructional coach also align to just your philosophy in education?
So my philosophy of education is that every student can learn. They just need the right supports in place or the right teacher with the right strategies at the right time. And I feel the same way about teachers. All teachers can become expert teachers. All teachers can become teacher leaders. They just need the right systems and support and to be in the right place at the right time.
That's perfect.
So they totally align.
And then how do you think that aligns with our school's vision here at Central?
Well, I feel like, our school's mission and vision at Central follows right along with that. We want to be a place where people want to send their kids. Well, I want us to be a place where teachers want to teach. We want our kids to be healthy, productive citizens. Well, I want to make sure our teachers are taking care of themselves, that they're healthy, that they're productive members of the community and, the productive members of our school. So they all really line up.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I mean, for me personally, just having the experiences with you, I see how you build up our teachers, and I've benefited from greatly. So thank you. And then let's just look at some of it, like going into some of those strategies that you use as an instructional coach. What are some of those key strategies that you're using?
The first thing is the impact cycle by Jim Knight, where we sit down with our teachers and we're like, so where is an area of growth for you? What is something you feel like you need some assistance with, or that you just want to get better at, or there's something that's new you've heard about and you're not quite sure how to fit that into your classroom? So we just sit down and have a conversation about that. Then I come and observe you, okay? And I'm walking through these steps mostly for the interview because Abby's been through an impact cycle with me, a very successful one, and we can talk about that as well if you want. But so we sit down, I observe them, and I'm like, okay, so these are some things that we can work on to get you to your goal. I present the teacher then with, these are some ways we could do that, coach them through how to implement that. Teachers implement it, we come back, I observe again, and we sit down and have a conversation about what worked, what didn't, and what are some next steps.
Perfect.
That's where we start.
Yeah, and like she said, like I benefited greatly from my impact cycle. And I know for me, like I had that background in education, but how do you, because there are going to be people that look at that impact cycle and they're like, this probably is not going to work for me. How do you combat that? Like let's expand on that just a little bit.
So it starts by building trust. So if a brand new teacher hasn't been teaching, they'll go through our 2-day NEO program. They will go through a semester of us supporting them in ways we know that teachers need support. Parent communication, getting grades in the grade book, time management, how to plan effectively. We work through all those basic skills of teaching is what I call them. And they're also the things that tend to derail teachers. Parents tend to intimidate first-year teachers and second-year teachers, and they're afraid they don't know how to talk to them. So we walk them through scenarios and on how to talk to them. We give them some template emails on how to send emails to to parents, and basically support them in that way. Well, now we've built trust, right, with them. They know they can trust us to guide them in the right way and to meet their needs. We survey our new teachers a lot. What do you need now? What can we help you with? And we then, the second part of the first semester of our new teacher orientation is where we start to realize different teachers need different things, and we differentiate our support. So then by second semester, they trust us and they believe that an impact cycle will help them. So we don't do an impact cycle with our new teachers until second semester of their first year of teaching.
Now, from those, like, have you found that you've had more success with the impact cycle? Like, what's your success rate? I guess I would say.
Some are more successful than others, and one of the things that makes them most successful is the buy-in of the teacher. Okay, you were 100% in.
Absolutely.
You're probably one of the most successful impact cycles because you're still doing. 2 years later?
Absolutely, yeah.
The stuff that we implemented in your impact cycle. And so that's a super impact. That's a super successful impact cycle when you see that impact is still happening over time. Other teachers have shorter goals, which might not be as effective over time, but it helps them in the immediate thing that they need.
That's their struggle right then.
The ones that don't work so well are with teachers that are like, yeah, I don't think so. You sit down and you're like, okay, this is what I suggest you do. These are some things that might help solve your problems. And then they don't implement the things that they do because they just, sometimes it's a little too much. It moves their cheese a little too much.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One, I had a teacher, this was years and years ago, classroom management was an issue. And I was like, okay, friends, we got to move these kids around. Oh, but I like where they're sitting. But where they're sitting is not working. And she was like, no, but I like this. And I wanted her to move her desks a little bit, make some ways where she could walk around and have contact with, and she was not interested. And that one she still, at the end of the year, still had behavior management issues in her classroom because she didn't want to try the things that we suggested.
Understood.
So,
understood. And that kind of leads me, so we're gonna go a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about those teachers. Like, how do you know a teacher's gonna be successful? And then are there signs for those that just may not be successful?
The most successful teachers are coachable. And we talk about our kids playing sports. You have those kids that go on to play at the high school level, the college level, and the NFL. The one thing they have in common is they're coachable. They're like, a coach says, hey, this is not working, you need to fix it, and they do. And teachers are the same way. Like, it's the teacher that is coachable, that's willing to try new things, that's willing to move out of their comfort zone, that has at the front of their mind, I need to do what's best for kids, not what I am comfortable doing. And that's the thing. Teachers have to be willing to be coachable and move outside of their comfort zone. They also have to realize that, you've just been through school and you know a lot. But you know a lot about book stuff and not so much about the people sitting in your classroom.
Correct.
And so we need to marry, the teacher that can marry those two is the most successful. Those that are not, okay? You cannot take it personally as a coach if they're like, I'm not trying that. Okay? you have to have perseverance as a coach and keep going back and keep going back. The teacher we referenced earlier that didn't want to move her physical room, I was in her room all the time. I was like, if you would just move these two people, if you would just separate this group, if you would just create some cluster groupings, you would probably have a better, classroom management situation. And I just kept going back and kept going back. And then I was like, okay, so let's start small. Let's start small. Why don't you? So then I did a thing where I tracked our steps. Okay. And I was like, you're only in these 3 places in your room, but you have 35 kids. And there are some kids that are never seeing you, and you're never seeing their work, and you're never talking to them. And that was kind of a game changer. At that point, she's like, oh, so I'm really only teaching a third of my class. Pretty much. You're only teaching a third of the students sitting in your classroom. And so then she started to make some smaller changes. She never fully implemented all the things, but it's about finding the coaching strategy that's going to work for that teacher.
Got it. How do you approach those hard conversations with them? Because that would be something that I would have issues with, especially my passion, is to eventually go towards administration with. But I kind of want to know, so you see that this teacher is having issues, maybe they don't have the best classroom management. They're not being an effective teacher, and maybe they're not wanting to be an effective teacher. Eventually, there's a time where you're like, I have exhausted all of my issues. Yep. And I've exhausted all of my strategies, all the support that I could give this teacher. What do you do from there?
So then when I do that, I stop offering suggestions and I just am present.
Okay.
So I just pop in their classroom, stop asking how they're doing, what's going on, and give them the opportunity then to ask if I can support them.
Got it.
They know I've got a bag of tricks and they know I'm willing to share, but at some point I realized that my time is not being used effectively with this teacher. So I still offer, I still visit, still say, hey, so what can I do to help you? But then I spend the bulk of my time then with those teachers who are ready and willing to implement
absolutely
these new strategies.
I understand that completely. You can apply that to the classroom as well. And then and I wouldn't say that this is just a post-COVID issue, but one of the things that we hear as educators all the time is the word burnout. Mm-hmm. So I know that you have done such great things with our new educators, but where does your role lie in with our veteran educators? Where do we see you there? And then how do you combat that word burnout?
I don't like the word, but it's real. It's 100%. It's 100% real. And what I tell our veteran teachers that are struggling with, I'm tired, I've done all the things, I just need a break. Listen to your body. Right? Listen to what your brain is telling you. Listen to what your body is telling you. If you need a mental health day, take a mental health day. But when you take that mental health day, don't grade papers, don't make 15 doctor's appointments.
True.
Take that day and do what your brain and your body needs. Also, if you are behind on your IEPs as a new special ed teacher, you're behind on your grading, take a day and do your IEPs. Take a day and do your grading. You need to listen to what you need. Sure. And if it means you need to go to the spa and get a massage, do that. If it means you need to sit at home with your headphones on and your dog curled up at your feet and grade, then do that. You just have to listen to what you need. And I know it's hard to be out as a teacher, so one of the newer things we're working with our new teachers on is developing plans that you can leave for a sub that are effective. And with our technology, it's learning and learning paths and the opportunity to video yourself and some different things, you can leave a sub plan where learning can still happen. Where you don't have to be in that room and still teach your kids. So trying to get them to develop those type of lesson plans so that when they do need that grading day, that IEP day, that mental health day, they have something and learning still continues.
Perfect. Wow, thank you for just all your help that you do with veteran teachers. Seriously, it is one thing to say, hey, I probably need to take a day. It's another thing to hear it from someone like you where you're saying it is okay to do that.
It is okay.
It's that validation. So yes. I greatly appreciate that. I think you continue to offer strategies to me, so thank you. I guess one of the other things that I do want to just touch on a little bit, because I know you've helped me pursue higher education, and that I have bigger goals than outside the classroom walls. And granted, I know I need to be the most effective teacher while I'm here, But what are some ways that you can assist others when they do want to pursue higher education, or when they want to pursue an instructional coach role or an administrative role?
So one of the things I have them do is like talk to somebody who's doing the role you want to do, and make sure it's what you think it is. Sometimes we actually even get teachers that think teaching is easy. Oh, I'm going to do it because it's easy and I get all this time off. And if you have been in the classroom a hot minute, you know that teaching is not easy.
Correct.
And so really talk and ask the hard questions of the people who are doing the job you think you want to do. Number one. Number two, there are a million. I'm a huge podcast listener.
Love it.
You know, in the car, when I'm getting ready, when I'm cleaning the house, whatever, I've got the earbuds in and I'm doing, podcast or whatever. Find those podcasts that are done by people who are in the field or the job you want to do. Listen to that. Listen to what it's really about. Listen to some of the advice that they give, the people that they interview, and see if you're jiving with some of the things they're talking about, then you're on the right path.
Perfect.
Secondly, in the state of Georgia specifically, you need to make sure that the degree you're going to get is approved through the state of Georgia.
Absolutely.
That will get you your certification. I direct them to the Georgia PSC website. Find your degree, find the program where it's offered, and that kind of thing. Really don't just pursue something because you think you want to. Make sure it's going to get you where you want to go. In the state that you're working. And each state is different. Each county is different sometimes too, as to what they'll pay you for or what you have to move on up. So that's an important piece of making sure you're getting the right certification from the right places that meet those requirements.
Perfect.
And lastly, find a mentor. Okay, once you've talked to all these people and you want to find that mentor that you can ask questions from, and it may not necessarily be the person you think it's going to be. So
Absolutely.
Be open to it doesn't have to be your principal. It doesn't have to be your instructional coach. It can be your department chair. It can be someone at another school. Reach outside your school. It can be somebody at your district office. But find that mentor that's going to guide you.
Man, if I could stay here and have this conversation with you for hours, I would. But Jenn, thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome. Absolutely.
Anything you want to add to the end?
Education's hard. It's worth it. And I feel like the best way to stay in education is to grow in education. Kind of like what you're doing. You're pursuing your degree. You're taking on some other leadership responsibilities and things, and that's important. The person that does the same job every day, all day, is going to be your biggest burnout because there's no variety, there's no learning, there's no growth that happens. And so I think teachers just need to continue to grow in areas that they're interested in, and that they feel like can help their students or themselves.
Thank you. And thank you so much again for your time.